welcome to the Commonwealth Youth Games from the Isle of Man for the final full day of competition. Plenty of great action yesterday all the way across all 7 sporting disciplines, and we're expecting more of the same today. This is what's coming up in the next half hour. Plenty of action to get through, including gymnastics, swimming, badminton, cycling, the group stages of the rugby sevens, and a whole load of medals to be awarded in the boxing. Let's go onto the track. This is the final of the men's 110-metre hurdles.
Set.
We're away. The 2 South Africans in lanes 4 and 5 were the quickest in the semi-finals. It's a good start by Van der Merwe. Anthony Collins of Australia in 3 on his shoulder. Smith's in trouble and he's down. One of the favourites for a medal is out, and his compatriot Andries van der Merwe is going to take the gold. It's silver and bronze for Australia. Anthony Collins of Australia and Jack Edwards taking silver and bronze respectively. This is the final of the women's 100 metres hurdles. Good start by Margaret Gahan in lane 6 for Australia. England's Yasmin Miller in lane 4 away well too. It looks between those two, but Abby Tadeo in lane 5 is pushing. But it looks like Miller will win it for England. A late burst by Morrison in 8 for Canada. Gold for Miller of England, with Tadeo of Australia taking silver. A late surge means bronze for Morrison, while Gahan faded toward the end and is 5th. Coming up to start the final of the men's 1500 metres. As expected, the 2 Kenyan athletes lead the way, but they've not broken away just yet. It's Sawe of Kenya who leads, and a comfortable one at that as they come to the final turn. Fellow Kenyan Vincent Mutai second, and should have just enough to keep England's Robbie Farnham-Rose at bay. It looks like he will have to settle for bronze, and surely that was his goal at the start of this final, given the way the Kenyan boys dominated the heats. Australia's Jack Curran and James McMurray of England too far back for the chance of a medal. We know where they're going. Jonathan Kiplimo Sawe has got this sewn up. He crosses the line to take the gold. Mutai will go home with silver. Farnham-Rose has to be delighted with bronze. Confirmation of the result, Sawe a couple of seconds to the good over Mutai, and Farnham-Rose not that far behind in 3rd. Time to head down to the pool, and the Australians have been dominating the medals in the early finals. But there's also been swimming gold for some of the other nations. This is the final of the women's 200 metres individual medley.
But it is Sophie Smith just from Surika McMahon. Sophie Smith has about half a body length up from Surika. I think she's just done enough. She went at 2:10.95 this morning, and she goes just outside that, 2:12.49.
Next, it's the final of the women's 50-metre freestyle.
Madeleine Hart was the fastest qualifier in 25.35. She has a personal best of 25.29. So she looks like she will be taking the lead just off that turn. Only a quarter of a body length between. But have a look at Amy Matsui come back at her every single stroke. It's between the 2 Australians into the flags then. It looks like it's gold for Australia, silver for Australia. Amy Matsui in lane 5 takes the gold medal in 25.19.
Grant Halsall had won the Isle of Man's first ever medal and was looking to make it gold in the men's 50-metre backstroke, but it was again up against Corey Main.
It will come down to the touch. Isle of Man swimmer looks to be just ahead of everyone else. And taking the gold medal is Corey Main from New Zealand, 25.24. The silver medal goes to Isle of Man swimmer Grant Halsall in 25.32. And the bronze place to Robert Gaelic from Australia in 25:38.
So a second gold for Mayne of New Zealand to go with his 200-metre backstroke medal, and again finishing ahead of the Isle of Man's Grant Halsall. Corey Mayne accepts his award and once again finds himself on the top step of the podium. Athletics and the final of the women's shot put. Australia's Taylor Sengel took the lead with her first throw, and she went on to record 14 metres 10. That wasn't enough to secure the gold. Sophie McKenna of England took the lead with her second throw, and then recorded 14 metres 75 with her fourth attempt. And that placed her firmly on the top step of the podium. Iro of the Cook Islands finishing fifth behind Dukeman of Jersey. Bronze for New Zealand's Keneally, with McKenna and Sengel the only two to better 14 metres. A silver medal for St Lucia in the women's high jump. Janelle Shaper reaching a height of 1.76 metres. With the gold going to Cyprus and Leontia Kalanu, who took gold by just 3 centimetres. In the women's long jump, the versatile Margaret Gahan of Australia secured the bronze medal. Naya Nang had held the lead with her first jump, was unable to better her distance, but it was still good enough to secure silver, with Jasmine Sawyers hitting 6.2, the only girl to surpass the 6-metre mark. So, bronze and silver medals respectively for Australia's Gahan and Anang, with Sawyers of England earning a very well-deserved gold medal. More action from the pool and more success for Northern Ireland and Sarika McMahon, this time in the women's 50-metre breaststroke final.
And already taken the lead is Sarika McMahon from Northern Ireland. She swam earlier on in the 200 individual medley and got the gold in the 100 metres breaststroke. The silver medalist Kelly Gunnell is also in this race in lane 6, but at the moment it is McMahon from Loeffler, from Gunnell. But it is going to come down to the minor medals, but the gold medal goes to Sarika McMahon, 31.47 from Northern Ireland.
Kelly Gunnell of South Africa takes the bronze, with Sarah Locker of Wales helping herself to silver, but another gold for Northern Ireland and Sarika McMahon. And more success for Chris Raven of Australia, this time in the 100 metres butterfly, snatching the gold, not for the first time at these games, from South Africa's Hendrik Alberts and Alex Hancock of New Zealand. And even more medal success for Australia, this time in the men's 4x100 metre relay.
So here come Team Australia to take the gold medal in 3:20.01.
It was medal time in the boxing as the tournament reached the semi-final stage. Beaten boxers would be garnished with a bronze, while the winners held a date with gold. Jackson Woods of Australia would contest the flyweight final, where he would meet Samson Sykes of England, who overcame Welshman Josh John 13 points to 6. The bantamweight final would be contested by Canadian Jesse Brown, seen here in the blue, overcoming Obedi Matafa of Zambia. And another English boxer, one of 6 to make the finals in the shape of Otley's Case Ashfaq, was impressive in his semi-final, stopping Cliff Morris Wade of the Solomon Islands. Grant Quigley was the first middleweight to reach the final, after featuring in yet another contender for bout of the night, this time against Indian Surinder Singh, who takes a well-deserved bronze. The Scotsman will meet Australia's Dylan Hardy in the final, a matchup that looks likely to produce fireworks on this evidence. One Englishman not to make a final is the light heavyweight Jack Massey, who was narrowly outpointed by Brandon Allen in another all-action-packed contest. The Australian now meets Welshman Callum Evans, who had to overcome this rocky start to finally outscore the fierce-punching Tongan Hamasi Sakona. Join me for the finals action later in the programme.
The Rugby Sevens group matches produced a clear winner from each pool. 12 matches in all, and in Pool A, Australia and Scotland had 2 wins apiece when they faced each other in the late evening. Australia taking charge early in the match, taking a lead that was never really threatened by the Scots. In the second half, the Australians maintained the pressure and piled on the points to take a dominant 19-5 win that put them top in Pool A and gave them the theoretical softer first fixture for Sunday's quarter-finals against the bottom side in Pool B. Pool B included Sri Lanka and Trinidad and Tobago, and although no one wanted to rule them out, England and South Africa were always going to be the favourites. In the end, both top sides destroyed the opposition from the less favoured teams, racking up huge scores against their opponents, and ended up facing each other with 2 wins apiece and a massive points difference if it ever came to the tiebreak. And as early form book predictions were realised, it very nearly came to that. England took an early lead against their sizable opposition. South Africa always looking the bigger and stronger squad. But great team play here earned a well-deserved try for Scott Sperling, which gave England the confidence to take the fight into the second half. As expected, the South Africans weren't about to give up that easily and just refused to bow to England pressure, and there was plenty of it. After a non-stop battle for possession finally went South Africa's way with just over a minute left to play, the run-in looked like the easy part for Tyler Fisher. But with no conversion to follow, England took a narrow win by 7 points to 5. They'll start their quarter-final against the host nation, the Isle of Man, and barring upsets, it looks like an England versus South Africa grand final. But don't mention that to the Australians.
Sonia chaired Malaysia booked her place in the final of the women's singles competition after beating Kirsty Gilmore of Scotland. She will now face Pusala Venkata Sindhu of India for the gold. Indian Samir Verma faces Zulfadar Zulkifli in the men's singles final after beating England's Tom Wolfenden. Wolfenden keeps his hopes of gold alive though after being victorious against Indian opposition in the men's doubles with partner Ryan McCarthy. They now face the Malaysian duo of Hekin Tao in the final.
Stay tuned for even more action from the Commonwealth Youth Games from the Isle of Man.